Hey guys, welcome, welcome, welcome. I hope some of you can make it. Oh my gosh, I was so hungry leaving work and getting home from work. Should have seen me like scrounging to eat food as quickly as possible before coming on today. So if you've been waiting at all, that's why, because I was feeling it. So for my running and training friends out there, be sure not to wait till you're hungry and always have food on hand. I've been putting in some more miles lately, and it's kind of sneaking up on me more than it was again. Hey Dan, great to see you. So yeah, scarfed it down. Lots of foods, good stuff. Hey Carlos, oh my gosh, great to see you guys. So I'm Dr. Lara Johnson from Yellow Brick Physical Therapy here in Boulder, Colorado, where it is hot out. This is the time of year and season where my office is freezing cold. I have to wear a sweater and pants, and then I get home and it's like crazy hot. So that's what's happening. So it's hot, I had to eat, and now we're here. And I'm so glad that you're able to join. So welcome to SuperSoul Boulder, episode 59. And hey Lee, hey Carlos, hey Dan. So great to have you on. And so welcome to SuperSoul Boulder, episode 59, and the topic tonight is the brain and the mind, and I like to make this distinction between the two. I'm going to back up a second because I am still on this Hamilton-inspired geek out kick, because last week, you missed last week, I was inspired by the main motif or theme in Hamilton, the music, the amazing, brilliant, inspiring, revolutionary Broadway musical that's just just taking the world by storm and helping, I think, shift perceptions around what our history was based on and who those people were besides just writing documents and all that good stuff. So anyway, that might flow into this talk tonight too a little bit. We'll see. So tonight, what I put in the description is your brain controls your body and your mind controls your methods. Hey Daniel, oh my gosh. You're amazing for getting up from the UK when it's super late and hopping on here to join us and weigh in on your thoughts. It's really great. How cool that so many people are here from around the country and the world. And as most of you guys know, my expertise is in the body and healing the body, but we can't separate the body itself, right? And our ability to heal and our ability to exercise and our ability to train and our ability to, bend down to the ground and play with kids, or like I did the weekend, jump on a trampoline with my nephews. Oh my gosh, what a fun time. It's been a while since, not that long actually, but it's been a little while since I've jumped on a trampoline. Good way to connect with people that you might not know or spend a lot of time with otherwise is to play with them. So my nephew's cousins, who I don't see that often, it's like something about playing with people, playing whatever, games on a trampoline. It's a good way to connect without having to talk about things, right? You're just being with each other. So that's a little aside, but it ties in still. So it's not just about the body, it's also about your mind. And I know in our health and medical world, we've had to label everything, right? In order to understand, we've had to separate. And this is the thing that gets me a little bit discouraged, because at least in my experience in the physical therapy profession and my doctoral learning is we learned a lot about everything. We had to memorize all the muscles, all the bones, all the nerve pathways, all the treatment techniques, all the systems, how it all works together, all this stuff. And it's easy to keep piecing it apart, right? We even have different subjects of study. So it could be physiology or biology, it could be psychology of the mind, but how about let's make sure we bring it back together after we take it apart to understand, right? So when we talk about our bodies, we've also got to talk about the brain and the mind, because it's kind of running the show in a lot of ways, and sometimes running the show in ways we might not want. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. And I do like to make the distinction between the brain and the mind. And I had a patient the other day say, what's the difference? And hadn't thought about that. And I see it as the brain as an anatomical, physiological structure, right? The brain that's in our skull, versus the mind, which is our psychological structures, the ego, the mental constructs we come up with, our ambitions, our drives, our judgments about ourselves and others, the way we were conditioned and brought up in the society or culture we've been raised in. All those things contribute to our mental structure. So let's talk about the brain for a second. One, let's talk about it as such an incredible thing, right? It makes me want to pull out all of my neuroanatomy textbooks. Like, there's no way to possibly cover this. So if we just step back for a second and realize, oh my gosh, the brain is this like incredible like computer or engine, or we could even look at it like space and the universe, and we've got the sun and we've got stars and we've got galaxies and we've got the whole fabric of space-time. And that's kind of like the brain, right? So we've got this big old macrocosm if we extend outward, and this microcosm if we extend inward on the cellular level, opening doorway after doorway after doorway of smaller and smaller and smaller elements that make up this machinery that helps our bodies move, helps our minds think, allows us to learn things without and which become automatic. You know, some of you I know go run and you don't have to think about what you're doing, what every step looks like, what every step feels like. You might feel that way after a break or an injury, right? Or learning a new skill. I discovered the other day that as I was thinking about this and writing, that you know, I can type without looking. And so it occurred to me, oh wow, this is really incredible. The brain has this ability to allow me to type and move with that alone being automatic. I don't even have to see it, I can just type it, and there's kind of an autocorrect around how things sound too, a quick one too. So that's one function of the brain. Also the control of your body, your movement, the functions of organs, gosh, we could go on and on. You know, there's the brain, there's the brain stem, the spinal cord, and then branches out to your entire body to both control it with motor function and to give us sensory feedback to the brain to know and discern things like light touch or deep pressure in different areas of the body, or discern different tastes. I mean, it's really incredible. And it's not that it's doing that on its own. There's a lot of other sensors and receptors and things, but you know, the processing mechanism is there. And if you guys have any comments, feel free to jump in. The problem with talking about the brain is it's really easy to get heady, right? So I'm being cautious about that because I don't want to, I'm cautious to talk or explain just from my mind. And so I guess this is a good segue into talking about the mind. So if the brain we can consider as the anatomical structure, then the mind is our more psychological structure. And I say structure because it's that. It can do wondrous and amazing things. Oh yeah, Dan says I could probably have 100 episodes on how the brain works. Absolutely. We're going to take it at a broader level that pertains to, you know, to the things we talk about here, mind, body, heart, health and wellness. Good point. So yeah, so the brain is this amazing tool, and we can get, it's easy to maybe even get caught thinking that that's who we are, more so the mind. So let's talk about the mind for a moment. Your mind then processes things and makes meaning out of it. It might even make meaning out of your movement or your abilities to perform a skill or not be able to perform a skill. Dan's asking about TBI. You mean traumatic brain injury? Definitely affects the body and the mind. And it depends on where that injury has occurred. Yeah, so that's a big, that's a big question too. So in our mind, who do you take yourself to be? Even when it comes to the body, we can get identified with the body, such that when we think about death, it's a very scary thing. Who are we without our body? Who are we without our thoughts? Who are you without running or music or your family or being a mom or someone's son or brother? Who do you take yourself to be? This is one of the big questions of the mind. And similar to what I was saying with the brain, the mind can become, it can be like a tool also, where it gets so programmed in a particular way that we get used to thinking of ourselves in a particular way and maybe lose sight of all the other aspects of ourselves, all the other things that we are. I know for me, I spent so many years focused on running hard and fast and on academics, which isn't a bad thing or a wrong thing by any means, but what I saw once I pulled back more and more and more, as I've done over the last several years, is I remembered, as though I'd almost forgotten, some of the other things I enjoyed. Music, art, musical theater, as you might have ascertained from last week. And those are the things I actually really love doing and talking about now. Or talking about the mind and the ego and personal development and spiritual growth and things like that. But it took giving myself some more time than just those things that I got really focused on, right? So the brain and the mind are really good at discerning, focusing. Angela, you made it. I'm so glad to see you. I'm glad to be connected. Hey. So I was talking about the brain earlier as the anatomical structure, and now the mind is a psychological structure. And for me, getting really focused for many years, all through 3 degrees, and getting faster in the marathon, and still wanting more. And that's another thing about the mind. If we talk about the ego and the other parts or elements of the ego, the superego, for instance, ego wants to be the one running the show. It is like a programmed aspect of your not your true self, but like a mental structure itself. And it can often feel, I'll say in a felt kind of sense from my experience, like it can feel like an empty shell or structure. And so many of us will operate more from this shell and this structure and kind of not know what's deeper inside. And this, for some reason I'm wanting to say this about how the way I practice physical therapy and help people heal is by going deeper. What I see a lot of the time when someone's not fully healing from something is they haven't gone deep enough. They've only been on the surface. They've only been treating symptoms. Same with the mind. If we take ourselves to be what we think or what we believe, and we haven't investigated whether it's the truth or just a perceived truth, then we haven't gone deep enough into ourselves to see and find out what's really true for us. Not from a thinking place, from a felt place. When people talk about feeling your gut, I never really got that because I don't feel my gut, but I can feel my, the sensory system of my body, or a certain feeling that I'm starting to kind of get a sense of a feeling that lets me know, oh, this is the right way to go. It might be my heart, it might be a substantial feeling. It might feel just like a more grounded kind of feeling or energy even. So our minds are good at thinking. And thinking can be really discursive and scattered, right? This is like my default. It's easy for me to go, and you might find this too. It's kind of it can escape us until we really become aware of it. So it depends on where you are with that. But it flits around, and we think of the other thing, and we go back to this thing, and who this person said this, and just it goes all over the place, right? And it really likes, oftentimes, as we get closer to becoming aware of the thinking mechanism, it will distract us pretty easily. So this is where meditation and things help, because it allows us a practice to keep coming back to yourself, to a sense feeling, to a grounding center, your belly center, all these things, and not get so caught up in our mind. It's really easy to take our thoughts to be who we are. And if you step back for a minute, if you haven't thought about that, I'm curious what your take is on that. Like, does it strike you in a certain way? If you have thought about that and gotten and kind of seen that for yourself, I'd be curious to know what that's been like for you too. So are your thoughts actually true? And look at our world right now. Everyone is so, I don't know, defensive and aggressive and not listening. And I think a lot of that just stems from this condition, the structure of, we feel safe when that structure is in place. And it's pretty scary to let it loosen and soften and to allow yourself to be something more or else than you've taken yourself to be so far. It can feel very disconcerting and very disorienting. Daniel says there is a study about music and emotions that create specific ways that are either positive or negative to ourselves. I can't see the rest, but that sounds amazing. Yes. So, okay. So that's a great other point. Our minds can be affected by all these variables: music, intimacy, conversations with people, a seminar, a show, a talk like this, a discussion, someone else's look at you. You might think that means something, but we don't really know what it means when someone looks at us a certain way. We might think we do. I usually expect the worst, but a lot of us do that. But what if it's okay just not to know? Because although we name people, Daniel over there, I mean, you look at someone, they are this whole complex thing, this whole complex person with a background and a backstory and an upbringing and all these experiences. How can we possibly just label that as one thing? We could even let's go back to the brain. How can we possibly, if we take it for a moment and don't think about the lobes and how it works and how it functions, if we just kind of take it for a minute at how, without labeling, without putting words on it, I mean, that's where I feel it can seem so much like outer space in a way. The vastness and the complexity and the mystery of all of that. Mm-hmm. So the brain is awesome in its anatomy and its function and the tool and the neuroplasticity that happens when we learn a new skill and we practice it, and it goes from this cognitive, we have to think about every little step along the way, to an automatic movement that we can do. It's incredible. And the mind is also incredible. We make meaning, we connect with people. I would argue not just through our minds, but through other aspects of ourselves. And it can also, we turn this corner like any maybe programmed kind of, it can be programmed, right? And continue to carry out and operate in our lives in such a way that's not allowing us to change and grow very well. It wants to keep us in this box. It wants to keep us in this safe place. But maybe it's not so safe, right? Maybe then it limits us. It keeps us from really expressing ourselves in the truest way we can in the world, And maybe it's not through running in my example. Maybe it's through something else. Maybe that's one thing, but not everything. Maybe that was one thing at a certain time, and now as you evolve and you change and you grow, you become interested and passionate in your heart in some other things. And then the combination of all of that makes you this, not just makes you, but you already are an incredible, unique person without having to do anything at all whatsoever. But then there's all this combination of experience and maybe expertise that you then combine to create something incredible and different and new that no one's done. For example, someone who's very passionate about hip hop and rap and Broadway puts those together, and history, puts those together, boom, something no one's done before in a very talented, thoughtful, meaningful way. I'm still inspired by that. It's inspiring me to bring forth my creative self, which, like I said, for many years, I feel was lost a little to my focus, discipline around running and academics and career focus, which again has served me well in many ways. And there's more. There's more to me than those things. I'm not a runner, but I do like running, and I have done a lot of it. That's probably where I've gotten my 10,000 plus hours. And so that makes me know it a lot and how it works. And I've studied all these things like exercise science and physiology and the body, and worked on so many people with my hands that I understand it if in a felt sense too. And now I'm enjoying other things like poetry and writing and talking to all of you. So the point is, just like the brain has neuroplasticity, it can be patterned and programmed, but we can also continue to change and adapt it. We might have to become aware of that. And the mind, although it can be programmed over time, we identify with it. We think our thoughts are the truth. We think our thoughts are who we are many times. It can also adapt and change, but shedding light on it is important. Shedding light on that place in ourselves, shedding light on those thoughts and judgments. That could be a whole other talk here. One aspect of the mind is the inner critic, or the superego, the part of us that judges ourselves and others. And it may not just sound like words, it's often a feeling. It's the feeling that creates the feeling of shame or doubt or uncertainty or comparative judgment, comparison, and all those things that then shut us down a lot more to even feel what we're feeling or do what we're doing or express ourselves. So watch out for that one too. So if the brain is our anatomical structure and this kind of computer machinery, amazing, that can be programmed, but also, you know, can get locked into programming. So can the mind, our meaning-making machine, our thinking machine. Thoughts happen, right? Just like I can type and not think about it, I can think about the words, but not the actual act of typing. Thoughts happen without my thinking them or making them happen. So thinking happens. So I invite you to start paying attention to your thoughts and what those are like. You don't have to change them. Just start paying attention. And it helps to allow yourself to get quiet. And that, when we get quiet, sometimes we notice how loud those thoughts can be, and frantic and busy. And it might depend on what state you're in too. If you're anxious or if you're quiet and chill. So check it out. And know that all relates to the health of our body too, right? A frantic, discursive, anxious state is probably going to bring on more tension in your body. In fact, I will say it does bring on more tension in your body. Mm-hmm. And the programmed nature of your brain can also do that, because tension, our nervous system can hold on to emotional patterns and thought patterns and create tension too. So then the impact of that on our physical body in terms of the structural aspects, the nerves, the muscles, the bones, and how those interact together, that can create patterns in the body also. So it is all connected, and we don't want to separate things out too much, such that we can look for where is the root cause of any problem and continue to open ourselves up to your true self, your true nature, your true expression, and in doing so, give others permission to do the same. Thank you so much for joining me tonight for another episode of SuperSoul Boulder. I love having you guys on here. Please, please, please share your comments and thoughts below. Give me a like or a heart if you're on, or hit replay if you're watching a replay, or live if you're watching live, so I know you're here and what you're interested in. And I hope you got something out of this and enjoy your week. Join me next Monday for another episode. I'm your host, Dr. Lara Johnson from Yellow Brick Physical Therapy in Boulder, Colorado. Have an amazing Monday and amazing week. Take care.